Bill, what do you think? It seems to me that Zelensky has been essentially quietly admitting that some negotiated settlement is going to mean that he doesn't get Crimea back, that Crimea stays with Putin. Are you seeing a softening in Zelensky's position? Because you mentioned earlier in our conversation that, their position had been, certainly from the outset, a victory just means we get all our land and territory back. And that would be the most satisfying thing ever, right? To justify all this loss of life and cost to see Ukraine, come back with Crimea and with the eastern part of the country. But it seems as if Zelensky himself is setting the table with his own population to say that that's probably not going to be how this ends up.
Yeah, and Mike, before I address that, I wanted to address what you had mentioned, not understanding Putin. This is a problem I've witnessed in the entire war on terror. We didn't understand the Taliban. We didn't understand Al Qaeda. We didn't and don't understand Iran and its motivations. And I also think we don't understand Zelensky and what his motivations are when he says, and I believe it because he's under political pressure domestically from right-wing groups, from let's face it, some of these are neo-Nazi organizations that have military formations like Azov. I mean, look, you read the New York Times about this from up until the Russian invasion, reporting about these right-wing extremist groups, how their power within Ukraine. The best, I don't think he's in a position to yield any land to the Russians. And yet the reality is, from the Russian side, keep in mind, they annexed 4 oblasts or provinces in Russia. And most of them are occupied by Russia, but not all of the territory. By Russian law, that is now Russian territory to the Russians. Again, morally and legally, I don't think the Russians have a leg to stand on, but internally, this is how Putin and his followers, remember, he has pressure that comes from his right as well. And that's why I think you have this intractable situation where even if you could get Putin and Zelensky or their people into a room, I think their goals, their outcomes for this are so wildly differing that I don't think you really can come to a solution. Zelensky can't afford to cede even just Crimea to the Russians because the right-wing groups that have military power, there's actual military brigades. I see it all the time, showing their Nazi symbolism while training in France even. These groups have said that they would not accept this outcome and have said that some of them said they would kill Zelensky if that outcome came along. So he's handcuffed. The best that he could hope for is to get all of the territory back. And then maybe the thing that he could cede would be Ukraine not agreeing to join NATO to be a neutral country. But for the Russians, I don't think that's enough.
But there's no way that Putin's going to give back Crimea, right? There's
no way. That's the thing. The Russians,
Black Sea Fleet,
given the costs that they've incurred, Mike, right, in the number of soldiers, and there's wildly differing estimates on that. Military hardware, international pressure, they're going to want something out of this, and I think they're serious about annexing those 4 provinces, and keeping them. I just don't see a political outcome. The best outcome to me that's realistic that Zelensky can hope for is some type of ceasefire, a cessation of fighting, of freezing the line of contact as it is today. That's the best they can hope for. If they wait till tomorrow, they're going to lose more ground. If they wait till next week, they're going to lose a little bit more ground. And if they wait till next month, they're going to lose a lot more ground.